This is NBC Palm Springs.
Tonight, new details about hospitalized patients involved in that horrific crash near El Centro. Plus, we have an exclusive interview with a man in Guatemala, his 23-year-old niece among the dead.
Plus, Desert Sands Unified is set to welcome students back to campus in just over a week, but we're learning tonight some parents still aren't comfortable sending their kids back to school just yet.
And California now making it easier for counties to move from the purple tier and move down. We're looking into whether this means we could see indoor dining sooner rather than later. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Gino Lamont.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. We begin with a big announcement. All youth sports in California can resume, including indoor sports. A settlement is reached between California and the group Let Them Play, essentially avoiding a court hearing. California's previous guidance only allowed outdoor sports, but a lawsuit was filed in San Diego County, which basically said if college and pro sports can be played indoors, so should youth sports. A judge agreed and granted a temporary restraining order. The group then filed that suit in other counties like Riverside County, but before any hearings, they reached an agreement with the state of California. So now, just as certain sports are set to resume in the Valley, the floodgates have been open and all sports can start playing again. Our Brandy Flores joins us live now from La Quinta High School. Now, she spoke with a group who filed the suit. So, Brandy, how soon can our athletes get back to the court?
Well, we don't have an exact date for that yet, Sarah, but the good news is now that all outdoor and indoor sports may continue across the state for California, no student athlete is going to be left behind.
We've all been waiting for this news to happen. Didn't know if we were going to have a season. It was really on the edge. So hearing that, it was actually crazy.
No sport shall be left behind. The nonprofit group Let Them Play, based out of San Diego, has reached a settlement with the state of California, which allows all youth sports to return across the state.
It first started with a call from me to one of the governor's staff to say, hey, guys, you guys don't want to go to court, over the next 2 months. No, we don't. Well, we don't either, because then the kids won't play. Let's try to figure this thing out. They refined it to make it as reasonable as possible.
The state was presented with scientific and medical evidence that proved high school sports can return safely without significantly impacting COVID-19 case rates. But of course, it all came down to testing.
We found a group of companies in California that are already testing all over the state. And they were able to put together a program where they will take care of everything, the entire testing protocol, and it's free. Once we had that in place, we were in a position to settle the case.
So what's next? CIF told NBC Palm Springs in a statement that the settlement agreement is not yet available for review, and they are reserving comment on the terms of the agreement until it is finalized. Our local school districts are waiting on direction from Riverside County and have declined to comment on this settlement. However, this is still an exciting moment for our local student athletes.
It's crazy. It's actually crazy just because all these things are coming back now. It's feeling like everything's going to just open up, and it's exciting. I'm excited for all this stuff to happen.
As for spectators, the state is saying that only the athlete's immediate family, up to 4 people, can attend in person. Additionally, Riverside County can create their own protocols to restrict youth sports. But as far as the state is concerned, it's time to play.
I'm glad that they approved it. I was so excited. And I'm just waiting to see the season. I'm trying to play already.
And according to Grebbing, high school cheerleading and marching band are not permitted to return yet, but that is what the Let Them Play group is going to be focusing their efforts on next. From La Quinta High School, I'm Brandy Flores, NBC Palm Springs Sports.
All right. Thank you, Brandy. California's bill focusing on reopening schools is one step closer to becoming law. The Assembly passed the legislation today, and it now heads to the governor's desk for a signature. Local Assembly member Eduardo Garcia is excited to have some direction with back-to-school dates quickly approaching.
There is a roadmap for opening up our schools in a safe and responsible way. But I think today the message and the takeaway is that we have a plan to reopen our schools in collaboration with our teachers and other support staff, families as well, to send our children back to school in a safe manner.
The plan offers grants to schools who bring TK through 2nd grade back by the end of March, but to stay eligible for the funding, once a county returns to the red tier, schools will also have to reopen all elementary grades and bring 1 middle and 1 high school grade back to campus.
Desert Sands Unified School District will return to in-person learning in a little more than a week. The district says they're ready, but some teachers and parents, well, they don't feel quite the same. Our Kitty Alvarado spoke with district officials, the teachers union, and some parents to find out if they're ready to send those kids back into the classroom.
Desert Sands Unified School District is opening the gates. Pre-K through 5th grade students will be back to school learning the old-fashioned way on March 15th. The district says they're ready. Assistant Superintendent Laura Fisher says she can't believe it's been a year.
We thought, maybe a couple of weeks and we'll get things cleaned up and things will change, and didn't even imagine. So it is exciting. We can't wait.
They're only one of 4 accepted by the county to resume in-person learning immediately. Fisher says it's a testament to their safety plan and 13 in-person learning programs.
So we have been running those programs since November with no transmission of COVID with staff or students.
The head of the teachers union says the district has taken major steps to assure safety. She recently toured a school site.
It was amazing.
While she's confident the teachers will rise to the challenge, she says precious learning time will be lost, plus not all teachers are vaccinated.
The district was in a really difficult position because there are parents who really want their students to be back on campus. And so they were trying to make it possible. And this is the best choice out of a bunch of really bad choices.
Katie Corson, who has 3 children in school and a baby, says it's been a challenge.
Oh, yeah. It's, never a dull moment. Absolutely, chaos, but it's a controlled chaos.
But says her children are thriving learning online and feels that's best until the COVID numbers are manageable. Only one wants to go back.
So I could see my favorite friend in real life.
So yeah, she wants to see her favorite friend in real life. I just would feel safer keeping him home for the year, as well as consistency.
Catherine Silvera has 2 boys, a 2nd and 4th grader. She says online learning has been a mixed bag.
I have one child who is absolutely thriving in the environment. And then I have another child who is neurodiverse. Some days are really good. Some days I start eating ice cream at 10 a.m.
She's cautiously optimistic about her boys going back, but says back to school won't mean back to normal.
And understanding that unlocking the gates is just not going to do it. We have discrepancies across the whole system that really need to be fixed.
Fisher says they've learned a lot during this time, and that will help transform education for the better.
We can reach out and we can do so many things, even if it's just virtual.
Kitty Alvarado, NBC Palm Springs.
Taking a look at the latest local COVID-19 numbers, seem a little high today. 246. Those are the new cases countywide, 40 of those from our valley. But this is concerning. 35 deaths across the county and 9 deaths from the Coachella Valley.
California is lowering the requirements to move out of the purple tier. Once the state distributes 2 million vaccine doses to hard-hit communities, the case numbers to advance will be eased from 7 cases per 100,000 to 10. It should happen in the next couple of weeks. Riverside County and all of Southern California is still in the purple tier with a case rate at about 11 per 100,000.
So to help vaccinate hard-hit communities, the state will set aside 40% of the state's vaccine doses for low-income populations. Appointments will be reserved for those communities specifically. The Coachella Valley could see thousands of more doses with this new plan.
Coronavirus coverage brought to you by East Valley COVID-19 testing site, serving residents of eastern Coachella Valley.
All right, well, time to catch our breath here after what was mostly good news about the COVID-19 and what's going on around the state. So let's check in with Mike, who's got a look at weather, which is also pretty good news. Mike.
Gino, I'm going to take that good news and build on it. Today, spectacular day, and we were expecting this. You remember, every time one of those storm systems passes over and moves away very quickly, we get those clear skies, but it's the air quality that was really phenomenal today. If you got an opportunity to get out there, just clear, blue, perfect. Temperatures getting into the mid-70s. If that wasn't enough for you, we're going to warm it even slightly as we go on Friday. We're talking about some upper 70s and lower 80s. We'll take that into the weekend as well. I'm tracking a storm system that will brush by us. It looks like the storm will basically hit in Northern California in the Bay Area, so we're not going to get any rain out of the deal, but we will get some light southwest winds on Saturday. But what I'm tracking on the horizon beyond that is a multi-day storm system that looks like it's going to walk down the coast. There it is right there. This is Saturday. a storm system. But as this continues to walk down here, the current forecast models have it parking for a couple days. So it looks like it's going to sit and spin Monday night, Tuesday, Wednesday, and into Thursday. And this is some really good news for the state of California, because remember, most of us are in some form of drought conditions right now. It looks like the real winners here will be the Sierra, where they are way behind on snowpack right now. So to get some nonstop snow from Monday night through Thursday morning, possibly into Friday, would be some really good news. We'll talk more about that coming up. In the meantime, the next 3 days are brought to you by Comfort Air. Warm and wonderful on Friday, still warm and breezy on Saturday. We'll dial that back slightly on Sunday as that system moves past. It'll put a few more clouds in the sky, but still, we're talking about upper 70s and lower 80s all the way through the weekend. We'll take a closer look at that and your 7-day forecast coming up.
Now to an update on the injured in that horrific car crash near El Centro. 4 were airlifted to Desert Regional. 2 of them have now been released from the hospital. The other 2 are still hospitalized. We're told 1 is in critical condition. The other is stable. Investigators haven't released much new information regarding the crash, but at last check, they were working to notify the families of the 13 victims. One of the deceased, we now know, was a 23-year-old Guatemalan woman. In an exclusive interview, a family member speaks with our Regina Urita. He says he had no idea she was on her way to the United States.
In hopes of moving into the United States to reach the American dream, 23-year-old Yesenia Cardona from Chiquimuya, Guatemala, lost her life in one of the deadliest crashes in California state history.
I just can't believe it. It's hard. It's hard to believe that she's gone.
We're now hearing from Yesenia's uncle, Eddie Ivan, her father's brother. This SUV was carrying 25 people, including Yesenia and her mother. Border Patrol officers say this SUV was involved in a breach along the border fence near Interstate 8. A semi-truck hauling gravel crashed into the Expedition, brutally killing Cardona and 12 others. Her mother is severely injured.
I just don't believe it, and I don't get it. She was a sweet girl who was full of life and with purpose. She went to college and had a job. She didn't deserve this.
Yesenia was working for a finance company, but once the pandemic hit, she and her family began to struggle even more financially. But Eddie says he never thought she'd risk crossing the border.
She never told me or anyone of her plans to cross. I never heard it from her.
He understands the desperation many go through to leave their home country, where violence and corruption is around every corner.
Living in Guatemala is tremendously hard.
Now, Ivan's only wish is to tell Yesenia how much she is loved.
If I could talk to her now, I would beg her not to go. Those would be my words. Don't go.
For NBC Palm Springs, I'm Regina Urita.
All right, coming up next, Riverside County welcomes 15 asylum seekers, and it's not the first time the county has done this work. We'll take a look at the challenges of helping migrants during the pandemic.
Plus, the Senate votes to advance the COVID relief bill. We'll have details on one tactic a Republican senator is using to delay its passage. That's still ahead.
$30,400,000 to remain available until September 30th, 2026 for the purposes described in subsection B. B, purposes. From the amount appropriated under subsection A, the Federal Trade Commission shall use $4,400,000 to process and monitor consumer complaints.
Continuing coverage now on the murder of the owner of Outpost Market in Cathedral City, Joel Ortiz Hidalgo. The suspected driver pleads not guilty to charges of murder and attempted robbery. Felony settlement conference for him will be on March 15th. Meanwhile, Charles Campbell, the accused shooter, will be arraigned tomorrow.
The latest numbers from Measure B in Cathedral City show an early lead for yes on Measure B in support of phasing out short-term rentals. With just over 26% of votes counted, 65% of voters have voted yes so far, meaning they support phasing out those rentals, except for HOAs. We expect more numbers to be released tonight, coming up at the 6 o'clock hour. We're following it closely. This measure was an extremely contentious issue.
Riverside County has assisted more than 2,800 migrants traveling through the Coachella Valley. That was in the past, but now the county is prepared to do so on an ongoing basis. More than 15 people have fled their home countries and are looking for help. Our Nico Payne joins us live in the Satellite Center, explains how the county will offer support for these asylum seekers. Nico, good evening.
Good evening, Gino. The county was notified on Tuesday that 15 people were taken into custody at the Border Patrol station in Blythe. And Supervisor Perez was able to visit with these individuals and explains the county's plans moving forward.
It was probably around 4 or 5 families, 7 kids from the ages of 5 to 16 years of age. It was heartbreaking. It was tough to see them with maybe a backpack, with their clothing or a blanket and the clothes that they had on, and the little kids with shoes without shoelaces.
Supervisor Perez explaining the tough scene as he greeted 15 people seeking asylum in Riverside County, a site that he's familiar with.
It is a tough experience to see all that, and I could only imagine what it's like for them as they traveled as far out as Cuba, as far out as Venezuela, are the folks that came yesterday.
Galilee Center, a nonprofit organization in Mecca, will be providing help for the families who fled their home countries.
The Border Patrol drops them up here once they have been cleared and granted asylum seeking status, so which means these people are documented and they can be in the United States. With the new administration and with the new changes in those policies, the numbers started to increase.
The average stay at the Galilee Center is about 48 hours, and the center only accepts those that have been cleared of coronavirus. But because of the pandemic, they have seen a substantial increase in their numbers.
The services have not only doubled but tripled. They have increased so much because our priority is helping the community.
Now, county leaders say they don't know how many other asylum seekers may be coming to the valley, saying that conditions change on a daily basis. Reporting live in the Satellite Center, Nico Payne, NBC Palm Springs.
All right. Thank you, Nico. Taking a live look now at our Walter Clark Highway 111 cam. Gorgeous night in Rancho Mirage. Mike has a look at the forecast when we return.
Welcome back. So here's a live look that is very different from the one that we were looking at last night. This is your Rancho Mirage, Agua Caliente. Cam, you know what's really funny? This is the same view that I'm getting out of my windshield right now. We had that spittle of rain mixed in with that wind coming in from the south yesterday. So basically everything in the Coachella Valley's got this kind of hue on it right now. Now, I'm going to leave it up to you as to whether or not you're going to wash your car or not, because we are going to have a warm and wonderful weekend. So if you want to go out and show it off, do that. But there is more rain potential next week and some wind mixed in there as well. So you decide. You're a grown-up. You can do that. Here's what we saw today. Temperatures considerably warmer than we saw yesterday by 10 degrees. Still 1 degree below the 30-year average. 75 is where we topped out. 76 is the norm. 97 is the record. And the overnights, yeah, we were cool there. 6 degrees below the average of 51, which is our 30-year norm. 29 is the record. North America, very looking kind of winter/spring. We've still got a couple weeks of winter left. Temperatures in the mid to upper 40s up towards the Pacific Northwest. 51 in Portland tomorrow. We'll see some temperatures in the low 80s across the southwest. And then looking off towards the northeast, again, cold, but not brutal. We'll see some temperatures that will get above freezing in many spots, especially Chicago gets to 45 tomorrow, 43 in Washington. And then down towards the southeast, it's going to be warm there as well, but will be warmer. We got Miami by about 2 or 3 degrees. So here's what's happening. There's our low pressure system. I told you this thing was going to have some wheels on it. Still doing the counterclockwise flow thing and making its way across the southeast, where it will bring some welcome rain there. This is the storm system that we're watching on Saturday. And again, no big deal. It looks like it'll bring in some marine layer cloud cover. It'll be windy along the coast. You'll see those southwesterly winds, and you see the gradients there. That's going to bring some southwesterly wind into our neck of the woods here. But again, I don't expect it to be too gusty, 20, 25 miles an hour. Don't let it ruin your weekend plans. And temperatures, as we saw earlier, will stay in the upper 70s and lower 80s. Next storm system there, again, forecast models have this thing moving very slowly down the coast and then just parking itself. And again, really looks like it'll light up the Sierras, and it's going to have a cold core to it as well. So it looks like it'll bring some snow to our mountains. Again, it's still a few days out, so we're going to have to fine tune the details on it, but I'm very excited about it because I mentioned earlier, the entire state of California is under some form of drought right now. We really haven't seen the moisture that we've needed so far. So go looking at the Bay Area, that's where all of the moisture will be this weekend. They're going to do very well. Meanwhile, we'll stay dry, but we'll stay breezy here. Friday will be a warm affair. We'll start off in the low to mid 50s, get ourselves into the upper 70s by lunchtime, cruise into the lower 80s into the afternoon there, and then even the evening is going to be really mild and really enjoyable. Your Comfort Air 7-day forecast shows a pretty good looking weekend ahead. Take advantage because next week we're going to be experiencing more winter than spring.
Not leading to a degree at an institution of higher learning, as the term is defined in Section 3452F of Title 38 United States Code, pursued on more than a half-time basis, the amount specified under subsection C1B of Section 3313 of Title 38 United Otherwise available, there is appropriated to the Department of Veterans Affairs for fiscal year 2021 out of any money.
The Senate votes to advance the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill. It's a procedural move, and with the Senate evenly split between Republicans and Democrats, Vice President Kamala Harris was on hand to cast the breaking vote. Republican Senator Ron Johnson immediately forced the Senate clerk to read all 628 pages, and we're taking a live look of that. The reading could last well into tomorrow. Senate Majority Leader Schumer vows the Senate will stay in session this week to make sure it passes before the March 14th deadline. That's when unemployment and programs expire. We're back after this. I'm told we have 7 seconds until NBC Nightly News, so we'll see you back here at 6.